you have a passionate team there in the White House, not just Donald Trump, but you look at some of the other members of the team, like Stephen Miller. So this is great. I haven't shown you guys this. He came out and he just torched the media. We've seen like bits and pieces of him all week, but this one is unbelievable. He's like, you guys just don't get this story at all. He totally loses it on them. He's like, you didn't do any research. You don't know what the heck you're talking about. Here we go.
Is the president going to ask for him to be returned to the United States or not? Like, yes or no?
Let me ask you, what do you think would happen to him if he came back to this country? As your understanding of immigration laws, what do you think would happen?
But I'm just asking at this point about whether or not
you're asking a lot of questions.
The president,
you are all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time. What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that? He would be arrested. Okay. He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again, because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. So what you're asking for is to be deported twice. But additionally, if we chose to just pretend that the withholding order was real, he would be deported to a different country. So, for example, he could be deported to Egypt. So I'm just trying to understand, is it your view, in other words, you define a country that would be willing to take a MS-13 member from El Salvador. So I'm trying to understand from you all is, so if he came back and under our laws, he was then deported to Egypt or to Somalia, would you then be saying, great, I'm so glad that you deported him to another country? Is that what you'd all be saying?
Yeah. My gosh. So Miller is absolutely furious with all of this, and it's wild, right? It's totally wild. He's like, you guys, you don't do your homework. You don't do your research. You have no clue, right? No clue what's actually really going down here. I mean, I'll tell you this. Some of you have seen this already, so just bear with me. I thought the best sound of the week, like the very best sound. Maybe we should have a segment called the best sound of the week, because you know that Trish is just going to run it and run it and run it, was Miller talking to the Fox reporter who's kind of trying to poke holes in his argument here. And he's like, no, you just don't get it. You guys are like, you're morons. Like, I'm sorry, I like you, buddy, but you don't get this. And I think the reporter, in his defense, was probably just trying to, that's what you do. You like ask questions because you need to make sure that the viewer understands it. Well, let me tell you, everybody understood it after Stephen Miller got off the set on Fox, or off his remote on Fox.
Number one, DOJ said a federal court cannot compel the executive branch to engage in any mandated act of diplomacy or incursion upon the sovereignty of another nation. So your argument is that you don't have to bring him back home, but will you?
So I want to correct, I hate to do it, Bill, but I got to correct you on every single thing that you said, because it was all wrong. First, we won the Supreme Court case, clearly, 9-0. A district court judge said unconscionably that the president and his administration have to go into El Salvador and extradite one of their citizens, an El Salvadorian citizen, so that would be kidnapping, that we have to kidnap an El Salvadorian citizen against the will of his government and fly him back to America, which would be an unimaginable act and an invasion of El Salvador's sovereignty. So he appealed to the Supreme Court, and it said clearly, no district court can compel the president to exercise his Article 2 foreign powers in any way whatsoever. DOJ called me after that Supreme Court ruling, and they said, this is amazing. We won this case 9-0. We are in excellent standing here. So this has been portrayed wrong for 72 hours in the media. They said the most a court could ever compel you to do would be to facilitate return, which would basically mean if El Salvador voluntarily sends him back, we wouldn't block him at the airport. We would put him back into ICE detention, and then he would be deported either back to El Salvador or somewhere else. The Supreme Court said that is the most the government can be expected to do. So we won the case handily. The misreporting on this has been atrocious.
Okay,
Secondly,
I appreciate
he was
the
not, no, Bill, it's important. He was not mistakenly sent to El Salvador.
Okay, so do you still
He's
believe
an illegal
he is a
alien
member of
from
MS?
El Salvador. Hold on, this is important. In 2019, he was ordered deported. He has a final removal order from the United States. These are things that no one disputes. Where is he from? El Salvador. Where is he a resident and citizen of? El Salvador. Is he here illegally? Yes. Does he have a deportation order? Yes. A DOJ lawyer who has since been relieved of duty, a saboteur, a Democrat, put into a filing incorrectly that this was a mistaken removal. It was not. This was the right person sent to the right place. Now, some have said, well, but he had a thing called a withholding order. So a withholding order means you've been ordered deported, but an immigration judge is saying you cannot go back to a particular country. Here's the thing. If you are a member of a foreign terrorist organization, you cannot have a withholding order. Since he's in MS-13, there is no withholding order. Furthermore, the gang that he is accused of being persecuted by doesn't exist anymore in El Salvador. The 18th Street gang is gone. So you have an illegal alien from El Salvador. Bill, where are we supposed to send the illegal alien from El Salvador?
You haven't even
to what
allowed me
country?
to ask you a question. Are you convinced he is still a member of MS-13? That was your original charge.
Yes. Not only, but here's the thing, Bill. Yes, but here, not only am I convinced of it, not only is El Salvador convinced of it, Bill, he's an illegal alien from El Salvador with the deportation order. So his only options in life, Bill, his only options in life are to be deported to El Salvador or to be deported to some other country. That's it. He has a deportation order. So, Bill, you tell me, what country should we deport him to? Tell me, please. Tell me.
So Marco Rubio on Sunday morning said this. On Saturday night, another 10 criminals from
Wow, right? And I loved how Bill was like, and Marco Rubio had to say this because what we're going to do to get out. He's like, tell me. I'll tell you, that guy's amazing. And he is, I've known him a while, and I will tell you, and his wife, and he gets such a bad rep. And he's such a patriot, right? He loves America, and he loves the rule of law. And he's a guy, if you go back and you look at his record, I don't know why I knew, but I knew that, remember the Duke Lacrosse alleged rape story? Those poor kids were just tarred and feathered in the media. And I don't know how I knew, but like, I didn't buy any of it. Like, I didn't believe it. I was camped out there for 6 weeks as a reporter at CBS News covering this whole thing. And I wound up having some really good sources ultimately. And I got to meet some of the parents of those kids. I just felt awful for them because I don't know. I just knew. Like, I can't tell. But you know what? Stephen Miller was like very brave because Nancy Grace was like pounding those kids every single night on whatever show she had on Court TV or CNN or whatever. And he got on there. I think he was a law student at the time there at Duke. And he defended them. And it was sort of amazing because you didn't see people willing to do that. He was taking Nancy Grace on. Anyway, he's a real patriot. And I have a perfect segue into one of our show sponsors and one of our new show sponsors. And we're very thankful for them because these guys are real patriots at Patriot Mobile. And we love their sponsorship of the show because, as I've told you, we're fully independent here. So we need our sponsors. And any support you show them is support from me. So I wanted to tell you, we love our cell phones, right? You're really attached to your cell phone. I don't know about you, but before I got Patriot Mobile, basically my cell phone would drop because I live in the country and you go down the road and it's like, whoop, I hit a dead spot. And that would happen all the time. But now, since getting Patriot Mobile, guess what? I have all of these different cell categories or carriers that come in. So you get all three of our outstanding nationwide networks, all the coverage of all three major networks. So I think that's kind of unusual, right? And that means if you live in the country like I do, then you don't have to worry about the cell phone going out. And what I like about this country as well, I do like this country. You know I like this country. What I like about this company is that they're really not just patriots that believe in America, but they believe in our veterans. And that's so important. They do a lot to help our veterans, to help our first responders. They support the Constitution, all of these things really that are so important. And hey, look, I just think if you're here, you can help support a business that supports America, right? All in the name of patriotism, plus the fact that you get extra special service with all three major nationwide coverage services within the network. So if you have cell phone service today, you can get cell phone service with Patriot Mobile with a coverage guarantee. You can have multiple carriers. As I said, 3 on one phone. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Trish. You get a free month of service, actually, with the promo code Trish. So make sure you use that. You can call them today at 972-PATRIOT and just tell them I sent you. It's actually good for the show. It's good for me, and it's good for you. They're 100% US-based customer support. Let me tell you, that actually really matters. I used to get on the phone, oh my gosh, with Verizon, and nobody understands you and you get put on hold forever. But these are all Americans, 100% US-based customer support team. They're going to help you make that switch and get your plan. So patriotmobile.com/Trish or call 972-PATRIOT and make sure you use my name.